best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And that is the prime topic we will be discussing for the remainder of this half hour. Low overhead country, better known as Frontier Motors. If you'd like to get the price of a car or a truck or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in, well, then give us a call. I can connect you immediately with Ivan Struckel, the owner of that organization. You dial 478-3116, and as if by magic, you're on the air with him. Good morning, Mr. Struckel.
Hey, Don, thanks so much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. And this is a double format once again. We are live on TV right now. No, let's flip that around, Don. We are live on 1370 Talk Radio right now, which means that if you're driving down the road and you want to know the value of your car, we can help you out. Don already mentioned the phone number, 478-3116. If you're watching this on TV, this is a recorded show, and we record the show twice a month for our listeners and our watchers out there, to let people know out there in the Pensacola community there's a dealership that will help you make sure you get a good deal on a car, whether you buy it from Frontier Motors or not. There's a lot of dealerships out there. I think the last time I counted in the Pensacola area, just our area alone, which is Pensacola, Santa Rosa, and Escambia County, there's 104 total used car dealerships. There's 80-some used car dealerships and 100, make that 17 new car dealerships for a total of over 100, which means there's a lot of dealerships out there selling cars. We're not the only one. I consider us the best one, but not the only one. And one of the reasons I feel that we're the best ones because we do things a little uniquely at Frontier Motors, and that is by giving you advice on which car is a good car or bad car, which car is a car that gets good fuel mileage, bad fuel mileage, which car is a good deal on the used car market versus a different make and model. And if you found perhaps a car that your neighbor has for sale, maybe you found something on Craigslist or eBay, AutoTraderCars.com, the big websites are where people go to look for cars other than car dealerships. Sometimes you don't have the advantage that I do to all of the sources and resources to be able to do the proper research to see if the car you're looking at is worthy of even making an offer on that particular car, much less paying what they're asking for it. And some of the things that we can help you with, of course, the obvious thing would be what should it run? And we're not talking about the Kelley Blue Book, which you can get on. I got a computer in front of me. I can Google the Kelley Blue Book or the Edmunds or the NADA consumer's version. I use more of what I consider a realistic value. Let me explain what I'm talking about, a realistic value. There's a couple of things that we use in the car business to determine what we pay for a car and also what we sell a car for. One of the things that we use is the retail book, and this is an official NADA guidebook. You cannot buy this book at Barnes & Nobles. This is a little bit different. You cannot get this on the internet. You need to be a car dealership or a banker or a financial institution or insurance company to get this book. And that doesn't make it a secret book. We have these books readily available to any customer that wants to know what the NADA retail is. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you pay retail. One of the reasons that we use this book is because most of our credit unions and financial institutions in Pensacola area use this book to determine how much they will loan on a particular car. If you have decent credit, they'll loan up to retail. So if I open the book up right now and I look at a Suburban, it's got a retail price of $34,750. That means that's what they book it out for, and that's what they will loan on that vehicle. Now, the other question is that what you pay? Well, that's why we have the Black Wholesale Guidebook. A wholesale guidebook is what we use in the car business as far as what's going on at the auction. But I go one step further, and that is I get right into the auction reports and I find out what a particular car is selling for at the auction to make sure that it corresponds with the Black Wholesale Guidebook, to also make sure that the retail is higher than the wholesale. Obviously, if the wholesale on a particular vehicle is $20,000 and the retail book says it's $20,000, I got a problem. Because if I'm paying wholesale to get it for $20,000 and the retail book says it's $20,000, I don't make any money. So that's not going to work. So what I do the research to make sure, because most people are going to go by the guidebook. Now, sometimes this guidebook is wrong, and I've seen this quite often lately. I don't know why, and I'll give you a prime example. Any of the older Jeep Wranglers, if you Google right now Jeep Wrangler, let's say a 2005 model Jeep Wrangler, it's got 100,000 miles on it. The NADA guidebook might say it has a retail value of $5,000. They're running for $5,000 to $6,000 at the auction. The dealers are selling them for $7,000 to $8,000 because they're very difficult to get. My big question is, why doesn't the retail book go higher if they're selling for more? I don't have the answer to that. I don't print the books. I'm just giving you the information. But that's where we come in as Frontier Motors, as far as giving you that information to let you know what you should pay for a particular car, no matter what they're asking. And the first thing I tell you to do is don't tell me what they're asking. I don't want the garbage at mine up. Same thing with when customers come in, they have a balance, they have a mortgage on their car. I don't need to know what the mortgage is, and some people don't want to give me that dollar amount anyways. I'll ask a person, well, how much do you own the car? Well, I'm not telling you that, as if it has anything to do with the value. The amount of money that you owe on a car has nothing to do with its value. If you owe $30,000 on a $20,000 car, you got a problem. Or vice versa. If the vehicle is a $30,000 car, it's still worth $30,000, whether you owe $100 on it or whether you owe $30,000 on it. So we never let the amount that you owe have anything to do with the value that we're going to give you. That's one of the things that I can give you for advice. The other thing I can tell you is, if you're buying a car from a private individual, if you want to run a history report, which you should do, always run a history report on a car. Always, always, always. I go so many customers that want to trade in their car. First thing I do after I take the car around the block is my computer automatically, when I say my computer, it's my computer that is a smartphone. Because these days, I don't know if people all know this, but cars have a barcode. So the first thing I do when I go to appraise a car is I get my app that does the appraisals, and it has a barcode. So I go ahead and I scan the barcode. If you're watching us TV, it looks a little like this. And I scan the ID number. Usually the barcode is on the door of the car. I open the door. I put my phone up to it. It immediately scans the barcode. It tells me, it almost defaults to what make and model it is. The only other question it asks is how many miles are on it. So I take the miles down off the odometer. I type that in there. And then it asks me for a couple of things like, what type of equipment does it have? Does it have navigation, electric sunroof, leather interior, things like that, just the basics. I add that all in, and then I take the car for a test drive. And the next thing it asks me is, do you want a history report? And it defaults to 2 history reports. Number one, of course, is Carfax. Everybody knows what Carfax is. I think one reason is because they do so much advertising. They've become the largest provider of history reports in the nation. The second one that I know of that we also use is AutoCheck, which is the second largest provider of history reports. And AutoCheck is a nice thing to have because I can consider it a check and balance. I want to make sure that both of the history report providers have the same information. If it's different, then I have to do a little bit more research. And once in a while, there's a difference. But I provide the history reports at no charge to you. Now, why do we do this at no charge? It costs $40 to run a Carfax. It costs about $25 to do an auto check. So that's $65 if you want to do them both. I do them at no charge. I'm saving you $65. If you want me to do 10 of them, that could be $665. Actually, I think with Carfax, if you sign up, it's a little bit more, and you can run like 5 or 6 of them. So most people are looking at more than one car. Sure would be a crying shame to pay $40 for one report. Well, we pay one fee as a car dealership. I can run as many as I want. So that's one reason that I can offer this. It doesn't cost me any more money to offer this to the general public. But the reason I do this is that, what if I spot something that's going to make you nervous about buying that car? Let's say it says that vehicle was born in Alaska, it's spent all its life in Alaska, and it just came down to Florida. It got sold at the auction, and now the dealer is trying to sell it to you, and it's had 3 accidents. Now, wouldn't that be something you'd want to know? Even if there's no accidents, if you're looking at a car from Alaska, the first thing I would consider looking at is the suspension of the car. We all know that Alaska is not the best place to go driving around in a car. A lot of it is unpaved. A lot of it is paved, but a lot of it's unpaved. So you have a lot of what I consider off-roading that you're doing, which is plays havoc with the suspension of the car. The other thing, of course, that you would think about would be the fact that there might be rust on that vehicle. And I have found that vehicles from Canada, I'm from Wisconsin originally, the first thing I do, it doesn't mean I don't buy the vehicles, folks. I just check them out. I crawl underneath of myself. I get underneath the front and back, and I make sure that if there's any rust, it's just surface rust. Even in Florida, we get surface rust on our cars. Imagine the person that lives on the beach. And they have those nice houses that are built on pilings, and you drive your car underneath of it, and they're right on the Gulf of Mexico. And in the wintertime, you've got, in the summertime, I should say, you have a south wind. So what that means is that salt air is blowing on your vehicle 24/7 if you park there 24/7, which means there could actually be more rust on a vehicle from the beach than there would be one up north. When I lived in Wisconsin, they put salt on the roads maybe 4 times a year. The rest of the time they use sand. So the corrosion and the corrosion methods on most vehicles are much better. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I'm letting you know that I will give you a free history report, because that will take any apprehension away that there might have been some major issues with the car. And on top of that, you should still get the car inspected. So if you're going to buy a car from a private individual, I can tell you what to pay. And the other reason I do this when we talk about you calling in for that free history report, my program, when I plug in the ID number, spits out the history report, and it spits out a price that I can sell that vehicle for based on what I can buy it for. So let's say, for example, it's a $20,000 vehicle wholesale. I can tell you, okay, $20,000 is going to cost me about $800 to buy the car. I'll have $20,800 in it. Let's say I mark it up $2,000, which is a pretty healthy profit. It's not ripping somebody off, but I'm making money. So now we're at $22,800. Let's say the retail on the car is $27,000. So if you use the retail book, you'd be paying way too much. And supposedly, let's say the neighbor's got it, and he's got the retail book, and he prices at $27,000. You call me for the history report. I tell you, guess what, Mr. Joe? The history report is really good. They didn't lie to you. They did buy it brand spanking new. I can see by the history report it's always been serviced properly. And if I were you, I would buy that car, but I would not pay any more than $22,800. Cars inventory. And I think one of the biggest things that we offer for the people in Pensacola area is that if you are in the market for a car, most people hate car shopping. They hate car shopping because they don't like that whole rigmarole that goes on when you pull into a car lot and you have 15 guys jump on you, and they all want to get your money and they get your wallet and get you to sign something today. We do things a little bit differently at Frontier Motors. Number one, our salespeople unlock every car every morning. That's 350 some cars. Everyone gets unlocked. And the reason we do this is so you don't feel obligated that if you're looking at 10 different cars, that salesman got to run back and forth at that new car lot to get 10 different keys for you to look at those 10 different cars. And the reason they do that in a lot of the dealerships is they want to make you feel obligated, like this guy is really working hard for you. And that's going to make you feel more obligated. You need to buy a car from them because the guy was so nice and he did all this. We don't make you feel obligated, Frontier Motors. We don't make you feel obligated to buy a car when you're there. We would love for you to buy the car, of course, but we don't want to make you feel obligated. Now you've got to make a decision. What we're going to do is give you all the information that you need to make a decision when you're ready to make that decision, not when we're ready, which means we're going to let you look at the car, sit in the car. We're going to give you a price list if you want. We have price lists that we print out every morning. They look like this. That gives you the NADA values, which is this value. It gives you our asking price. It gives you the information on the car, the mileage on the car, and our window sticker on the car will give you all the equipment on the car. So everything is laid out. You can shop at your leisure, and the nicest thing that we can do for you is we can give you a price in writing and tell you, hey, when you're ready, here's the price in writing. That price in writing, by the way, includes all the fees. So that way you're not going to be hit with things that you don't know about, like dock fees, get ready fees, turbo fees, dealer installed options, electronic title fees, a battery tax, a tire tax. I don't really care what dealers charge, but I think it should be their responsibility to inform you of what the charges are. So if they advertise a car for $19,995, that you know what the total out the door is going to be, and everybody can pretty much guesstimate what the taxes are. The way you calculate taxes is you use 6% plus $75 if you're in Escambia County, and 6% plus $25 if you're Santa Rosa County. So it's very easy to figure taxes. But guess what, folks? That's not all there is. So you want to make sure that you know what the rest of the story is. And at Frontier Motors, you don't have to ask for the rest of the story. We're going to give you that. We're going to give you that total out-the-door price in writing on a worksheet. We're going to give you a copy of it. We're going to file it away so we remember what we quoted you to make sure that price doesn't change if you come back later on. And we have a program called Price Driver, so when I give you that price, I already know what every other dealer and everybody else is selling that car for around me. So if there's one cheaper, I look at that car real quick before I give you the price to make sure that my car has more equipment or has better condition or has less mileage or is a better color. What if the car you're looking at that is cheaper is purple with a pink interior? Well, you might say, hey, that car is $1,500 cheaper, but it's the butt ugliest car I've ever seen. So you're not going to buy that car. So color makes a big difference. Guess what this book does? It never asks you the color. Guess what the banker does when you call them to ask for a price on a car? They never ask you the color. Don't you think the color has a lot to do with the car? I know the one reason that I make or break deals in most of the time is not the price, not even the condition, which is very important to most people. It's the color. Because I've seen people walk up to a car that's a great price, that's in phenomenal condition, with very low miles. They don't like the color. I had this happen the other day on a 2015 Buick Enclave with 4,000 miles on it. This car was $7,000 less than a new one. Customer said, that's exactly what I want. But it was brown. I don't want a brown one. Come on. The car's perfect. You could live with that brown, couldn't you? No, I can't. What am I going to do? The other thing I could do is offer them a better price, which was immaterial to them. It wasn't the price. The price was already good. So the second thing we offered them is, let me spec this car out in the color. They wanted a white one, by the way. So we spec'd it out white, and they didn't want a black interior. So we spec'd out a white one with a light colored interior. I gave them the price on it. I said it's going to be about $1,500 more because the white ones in this particular make and model sell for more than a black one or a brown one or dark blue one or a burgundy one. And they're saying, well, why is that? I said, because it's more popular. Now, even when you go on a new car lot, a lot of people don't know this. There's a difference in price of the car based on the color. BMW started this, and Cadillac started this way back when. Pearl color. Cadillac started pearl colors back in the 70s. And they call it tri-coat. And they charge more for tri-coat white and tri-coat gold. Now they have more tri-coat colors. And when you look at the window sticker of a car, one of the things that you'll find is color. And I know this is very interesting because even a Ford Escape, the other day I was billing out a Ford Escape Titanium Edition. It happened to be a burgundy color. I'll call it burgundy. It was kind of some fancy burgundy reddish color. $550 option. Because in Fords, I had the ability to look up the new car window sticker, even though this was a used car. So I could see that it had navigation, had the electric sunroof. It even had that little kick thing. I don't know if you saw that advertised where you kick the tailgate on the bottom of the bumper and the tailgate comes up automatically. And then the last thing I saw, that the color was a $550 option. So very interesting that color makes a big difference. So when I give you that price in writing, I do all my research. And that's why I feel very confident saying, Mr. Customer, if you're not sure if it's a good deal, why don't you go shop? And a lot of times people say, well, why do you tell me that? I says, it's not that I don't want to sell you a car right now, but I want to make you feel comfortable that if you buy my car, that you feel that it's the right decision that you're making, because a lot of people don't know. Now, I can share this Price Driver program with you, because the reason that I will share that is because there might be cheaper ones out there. Usually what I try to do when I do the Price Driver is I throw away the cheapest ones because I'm assuming they're smoked in, they've got bad history reports, they're ugly. There's all kinds of reasons why it's the cheapest one out there, especially if there's 30 of them available. If you're looking at a Chevy Cruze and there's 30 available, and it's a 2013, I've got 20,000 miles on, there's 30 of them available, I don't necessarily have to be the cheapest one. I definitely don't want to be in the higher ones. But I've got to have, and I can show this to the customer when they're there, and I can make you feel better about making a decision sometimes the first time around if I can tell you, hey, this dealership has this one, this dealership has this one, and I'll print that out for you and share that with you. Because it saves you time, because most of the time when people want to think about it, why do they want to think about making a purchasing decision? Two big reasons. Number one, they're not sold on the particular model yet. They're really not sure that's what they want. So if you're looking at a small, compact type car, we talked about the Chevy Cruze, maybe they want to look at a Ford Fiesta, maybe they want to look at a Ford Focus, maybe they want to look at other Chevy products or some imports, maybe Hyundai Sonata, things like that. So that's one reason. The other reason is because they're not sure if the price I'm giving them is the best possible price. So they normally say, I want to think about it, which normally means I want to go shop some other dealerships. Well, I can do that instantaneously in a matter of seconds. And it cuts a lot of time off. I have so many customers that come in and say, I really appreciate you doing that. I still want to go look. But it helps me, number one, it helps them know where the car is. Because you can go to Auto Trader, and I don't know if you've ever went to Auto Trader to try to find a car. It's not the easiest thing in the world, folks. You pop something in there and like 780 of them pop up. Where do you start? It's not that easy. My program narrows it down to the same year, the same make and model, if that's what you've decided you want to purchase. So make it really easy for you. And we tell you, hey, go shop. Because I know what's going to happen, especially if we're nice to you and you like us. You're going to come back. And a lot of times what happens, people come back and say, you know what? I went to 5 different dealerships. Those guys are idiots out there. I don't even know how they sell cars. I get a lot of feedback. I don't go car shopping to other dealers, but my customers do. I never share the feedback as far as who is bad and who's good. That's up to you to determine. But I hear a lot more bad than good, which means the good thing is there are some good dealers out there. There are some good new car dealerships out there. There are some good used car dealerships out there. Unfortunately, on a percentage basis, there's more than 50% that are bad. And when I mean bad, doesn't mean they have a bad product necessarily. It's just they don't treat you like they want to earn your business. They don't treat you like you're important. They make you feel stupid. They ask you dumb questions like, well, what do you want for your car? What do you want your payment to be? Well, what do you want to pay for my car? What do you think it's worth? Those are stupid questions. You come to Frontier Motors, I'll give you a price list, and I'll tell you this is what I want for my car. And then I take your car and I appraise it for you and I say, here's what I'll give you for your car. And then I'll tell you, here's how I came up with those figures. So you know that I'm not just pulling a figure out of my head. I've got to back what I tell you. If the book value on a car, and we had this happen with a Dodge Sprinter the other day, we sold a Dodge Sprinter on Saturday. The book value on a particular car is low. I better have a good reason why I'm asking over book value. And a prime example is a Ford Transit. You come in and buy a Ford Transit cargo van. This NADA book hates them for some reason. They'll tell you 2012 Ford Transit is worth $11,000 retail. Well, guess what? They're going for $12,000 wholesale at the auction, which means they're going to be selling between $14,000 and $15,000. But this book says it's $11,000 or $12,000. So I have to convince my customer why that is. I don't really know why it is, but I have to convince them that all the other dealerships are even asking more than what I'm asking. So it has nothing to do with what's right or wrong. I'm not making any more money on it, but I have to justify the price. Most of the time, we try to sell the vehicle for under the NADA retail value, and that's where that book comes in. That's why I use that book, because that's what the bankers will say. Sometimes I get a little irritated at some bankers because I've had this happen already where the banker is trying to be your financial advisor and tell you, don't pay over this. How the heck would they know? They have no idea. They have no idea what's a hot car and what's not. They have no idea if a 4-door sells better than a 2-door in a particular make and model, if an LT is a better one than an LS, if one color is better than the other color. They don't ask to see the history reports. They don't ask to see if you had 5 owners and 3 accidents. They just tell you, oh, yeah, don't pay any more than $12,500 because that's what the book says. So I don't put too much faith in that. But if the book value is high, I'll tell you that also. I've seen this book be $5,000 higher than it should be, which means that if you went by the banker in that particular case and he told you, hey, don't pay more than $27,000, and you decided to buy the car for $27,000, if I could sell the car for $22,000 and still make a profit, you just paid way too much. And that's where we come in with that advice that we talked about. Before you sign anything, you stop in a Frontier Motors. We've got 5 sales managers there and 11 salespeople. We're not telling you you've got to buy a car then there. You come in and say, hey, I heard your radio show. I heard the TV show. I'm here for some free advice. I'm thinking about buying a car for my neighbor. I've got the ID number. I want to know what should I pay? What's a good price for this car? And I also want to know what the history report looks like on this car. I also want to know, is it a good car or not? I subscribe to Consumers Reports. Better yet, we have the experience of telling you if this book is right or wrong based on our experience. There's been times when Consumers Reports when I don't agree with them. There's been times, most of the times I agree with Consumers Reports, but there have been times when I disagree. And I'll give you a prime example. This was years ago. Jeep Grand Cherokees. I'm talking about the old body style. 2011, they changed Jeep Grand Cherokee. They actually give it a good rating now. But 2010 and under, They hated Jeeps. They said, unreliable, don't buy them. They hated Jeep Wranglers. They said they were not worthy of giving a score. They still don't like them. The Jeep Wrangler is one of the best-selling vehicles in the U.S. They can't keep them on the lot. Our local Jeep dealer can't hardly. Go Google it and see what they got in inventory. I'll be surprised. The last time I tried, they had 5 of them. They might have more by now. Can't keep them on the lot. You know why? Because they sell everything they get. But Consumer Reports hates them. Awful gas mileage, unsafe. The only thing they say good about is phenomenal off-road capabilities. But I'm just using an example where you got to kind of, when you read something, you got to kind of take it with almost like reading I was almost going to mention the newspaper, but I don't want to mention that. But there are some things where the Consumer Reports put a lot of research in. One of the things that I bring up every show, we've only got about 4 minutes left, but I bring up every show, is that Consumer Reports did a article about 5 months ago. I keep the original. I love this article because we've been talking about this since Frontier Motor was born 19 years ago. The depreciation on a car will make your head spin. Consumer Reports, for the first time that I've seen, has actually put a graph in it and put it in writing. And they say that the first year, well, let's put it this way. Last year, the average selling price of a brand new car was $34,000. The average transaction price was $34,000. The first year, if you would have sold that car, the first year depreciation was 27%, which equates to $9,180. If you take $34,000 times 27%, that's let's round it off, a $9,200 loss the first year. The next year loses another 10%. It loses down to $12,500. The third year, 46%. After the fourth year of ownership, you lose 56% of the value of the car. It drops $19,000 in value. That's amazing. At Frontier Motors, we stock over 100 one-year-old cars. That means 15, well, let's put 14 and 15 models, 150 of them. Cars with, like a Versa Note with 500 miles on, Jeep Wrangler with 1,000 miles on, a Buick Regal with 1,000 miles on, Nissan Quest with 1,000 miles, and a Elantra with 1,000 miles. All that huge depreciations, and that's one of the reasons that before you go to a new car dealership or after you go to a new car dealership and don't buy, get their best price in writing with taxes, title, and tag. Everything included. You come to Frontier Motors. I'll give you one that's a 2015 or even a 16. We've got some 16s floating in already, and tell you what I can give you that out the door in writing, and you compare the bottom line. Makes it so easy. Forget about the asking price, forget about the trade-in, forget about the dock fee, all the garbage fees. It doesn't really matter. What you want to know is what's that bottom line, and then you compare. If I'm only saving you a couple $1,000s, I'll be the first one to tell you, buy the new one. What's if it's $6,000 or $7,000 and it's 1 year old? You buy the used one from Frontier Motors. This is 1370 Radio AM, and you're watching this on Blab TV. If you want to call in, our show's almost over with, so call the bottom of the screen, or call Frontier Motors, or look at just good on our website if you got any questions about values. We can be the ones to help you. Remember to like us on Facebook. Also remember that you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you're going to see all of our shows on YouTube. We've got all of our cars on YouTube, by the way. If you have any questions, folks, don't hesitate to call Frontier Motors. We'll give you a free history report. We will help you make sure that your next buying experience is going to be the best ever. That's Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Thanks for listening. Of course, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.